You have done everything. The diaper is fresh, the baby has been fed, they are warm, they are held, you have rocked and bounced and sung and tried every single thing you know how to try. And still the crying continues, steady and earnest, and completely without an explanation you can find. And you are standing in the middle of the room at 3 in the morning, holding this small person who is in obvious and genuine distress. And the feeling that arrives alongside the exhaustion is something no one warned you about. A specific kind of helplessness that comes not from lacking love, but from having enormous love and nowhere to put it, because you cannot identify the problem and you cannot fix what you cannot find. And if you have ever stood in that exact place, if you know the particular weight of that moment, then what you are about to hear will change the way you hold it. Because the truth about why babies cry for what looks like no reason is not that something is wrong. It is that something is exactly and completely right, working precisely as it was designed to work, doing something so important that evolution encoded it into the human nervous system before birth and kept it running at full capacity for the first months of life, regardless of how inconvenient the timing. The reason the phrase crying for no reason is almost always inaccurate is not that babies always have a reason you can identify and fix. Sometimes you genuinely cannot. It is that the absence of an obvious external cause does not mean the absence of a real and serious internal one. And the most important internal cause is something researchers call state dysregulation, a condition in which the baby's entire nervous system, heart rate, cortisol levels, sensory processing, sleep-wake rhythm, is in a state of disorganization that the baby has no capacity to resolve independently because the newborn nervous system was not designed to self-regulate, it was designed to co-regulate, meaning it was built with the biological expectation that another, more experienced nervous system would be consistently present and responsive, and would essentially lend its regulation to the baby until the baby's own regulatory systems came online. And this is not a design flaw, it is the design. It is precisely how the human developmental program was written by millions of years of evolution in a species where caregiver proximity was not optional but survival critical. Here is the first twist that changes everything. The most famous unexplained crying of infancy, the kind that peaks between 2 and 4 months, and that Dr. Ronald Barr of the University of British Columbia named the period of purple crying, turns out not to be unexplained at all, but to be a universal and biologically programmed phase that every human baby on Earth goes through, regardless of culture, feeding method, or quality of care. A phase of neurologically driven crying that is not caused by anything external and cannot be stopped by any parenting technique because it is not a response to anything the parent is or is not doing. It is a developmental event, a temporary and normal surge in the nervous system's output during a period of intense brain growth. And the most important word in that sentence is temporary, because it ends, it always ends, not because of anything you did or did not do, but because the brain matures, and the nervous system finds its regulation, and the storm passes the way all storms pass, given time. Here is the second twist, and this one lands differently. The research on what happens when parents respond to unexplained infant crying, even when they cannot stop it, even when nothing they do seems to help, shows consistently that the response itself matters, that a baby whose cries are met with presence and warmth, even when those cries cannot be resolved, learns something from that presence that a baby whose cries are met with absence does not learn, which is that distress is not permanent, that the world does not disappear when you need it, that there are arms that show up even when they cannot fix everything. And this learning, absorbed without language, without conscious understanding, lays down in the baby's nervous system the foundational expectation that will shape every subsequent experience of difficulty for the rest of their life, the expectation that hard things can be survived in the presence of another person, that being in distress does not mean being alone. And that expectation, built in the dark at 3 in the morning by a parent who kept showing up even without answers, is one of the most important gifts a human being can give or receive. Subscribe for more mind secrets.